Hello, my fellow YouTubers. This is Roy back again. Let's get to it. Let's get on it. Add Leedskalnin's wheel. Using 16 gauge wire. 36 turns. Each one of these magnets are north and south. Every single one. So I'd wrapped every one of these, but they're all continuous. Here is the one start, and here's the other start. Here's the end. All chain linked together. This allowed me to duplicate what Ed says right here in magnetic current. Now I will illustrate how my best machine is doing it. I will use only one coil and one U-shaped permanent magnet without using the windings that the machine uses to increase the permanent magnet strength. Permanent magnet strength. Now I will illustrate how my best machine is doing it. I will use only one coil and a U-shaped permanent magnet without using the winding that the machine uses. Here's the machine. Here's Ed Leedskalnin. There's the wheel. There's the wheel. The metal bar. Can't see the metal bar. But right now, we're going to talk about the wheel. So, by doing this, these magnets got good strength, and I charged them up, and I'm pretty proud of their strength, okay? But you can see I'm pulling them off no matter where I turn it. I mean, it'll suck them up. You see that? It does good. It does good. And I'm very proud. See, that's even stickier over here. Very proud of these magnets. And they're all north and south. Now, I know one of my followers, Eli, had a problem with his wheel to where when he got to the very end, he had a double. Truthfully, it happens when you have the PMH, which is over here, and when you're firing up the PMH, it overtakes, and that's what Ed says in its writings, that the stronger magnet will overtake basically the weaker magnet. So it deletes almost the pole in there. So it's almost like a neutral, but it'll show the opposite of what it is. So if it's supposed to be south, it'll show like a north-south, or I mean like a southwest or something like that. It'll be a little bit out, so it won't be snappy like these are. And that's because the PMH nulls it out, and that's what got me into. I noticed that it was a problem with my wheel. A lot of my experiments, the PMH destroys it. That's why I came up with this mechanism here, which is a this is the water pump out of a dishwasher, dishwasher. So this is the fan blade in the pump. The magnet comes down. It looks like a cow magnet, like this, and one side is positive, the other side's negative. So it spins. Okay, and when the poles are changing on it, it causes it to backspin. So now I created what I would do is make these here is one connection, these is the other, and then these two would be the make or break. So either make and break negative or you're making break positive. So what I want to illustrate here for you guys is the amazing thing with this energy that we call electric is that we have a positive and a negative, and with these windings that Ed shows, that really it's one energy. And what you have here is the energy is directional driven, and the way you spin the copper around the metal will determine what pole is going to come out at the end of the iron here. So if you were to rotate the copper clockwise, for instance, it would be a north pole. If you go counterclockwise, it's a south pole. So the south pole here, these are wound this way, and the north pole here, these are wound this way. Even though you start from one wire, this is the fascinating thing. One wire. See, here's the positive coming in, okay? Positive coming in. Then it goes from this spool to this spool. That's wound the opposite way. So it allows this. Now I'm going to do one thing here. I'm going to kick on this DC. I'm putting 27 volts. I'm putting 9.6 amps in here. Now I just created like a Superman. It's like, it's crazy, and you can't even pull it off, okay? So basically the whole wheel now is like a PMH. I got this other one back here. You can't pull them off. And the funny thing is, I was just playing with this before I made the video, and if you notice I touched this, look at the wheel spin. You see that? What putting the DC into this causes a greater field, like a Superman field. And I wouldn't use the DC thing because it'll bottom out at 10 amps. Then the capacitors are not really pushing out DC anymore. They're like bottomed out. You're overwhelming them, so you're going to get a strong ripple in there. So it's not going to be a true DC current, which is what we want. We don't want any 60 hertz junk in there. So I wouldn't use this. I would use straight up frickin' car batteries, like 2 of them. Maybe put 24 amps in there, or 24 volts, 2 car batteries. So I'm just saying, so I can control like this right now. I can pull off. Before, when I put this on, you can't pull it off. Another thing I'm going to show you on the field. So right here, let's pull this off and pull this off. And what I do have here is the one end is connected to positive, and the other end goes all the way around, goes to the upper ring, and this, the whole chassis. Okay, I am not messing with this yet, but this will be a later discussion on the handle, and how the handle has a copper piece of metal around the iron. So you can see right now, on my last video, this had a bad like murmur, and now it doesn't. Now it's hitting on every one. But now when I put on the power and energize that, you can see it's starting to move along with it. So I'm going to hold it and turn the wheel. You can also see how the iron on the PMH not hooked up. You can see the PMH, the iron on the PMH is reacting. And you can also see in the voltmeter. Can you guys see the voltmeter? We're on overload there. The voltmeter. Watch, and as soon as I speed it up, voltmeter will go up, and that's just coming off the PM8 with into a full wave bridge rectifier and reading DC. So I haven't hooked this up yet. I'm just got the wiring done. Been busy working. You know how life takes you. You gotta do life. This is just a hobby. And you can see that I'm fascinated. The fact that you send in. Let's turn this down. Turn this down to 1 amp. 3 volts. This is the volts, that's the amps. So it's crazy that I could take permanent magnets right now and I can strengthen the permanent magnets. So now look at that. So now I'm controlling permanent magnets. Can't even pull that off. 30 volts, 10 amps. Right now we're getting that ripple, so that's not good. I'm going to turn it down. But pretty interesting to be able to control permanent magnets in a way with electromagnet set with the magnets. So these are at least magnetized and not like just soft iron like some people have with rebar. They have their own snapback is what I would call it, because the magnet, why the iron is important to be a magnet when you make your wheel is the fact that this point in this juncture to have a coil and we're going to have these poles reversing. So these poles right now, we're firing them up. Right now we're at 14 volts and 4.6 amps. We got some good Superman strength going. And it's just one. We don't want one. It needs to be moving. It needs to be. So we're going to be banging this. How are we going to be banging this? Well, there's the pipe. That's where the pipe is going to come in here. You can see I have some copper in there. I have a great suspicion that Ed, if you look in this picture here, Ed has. Oh geez, where is that thing? Why would I move that? There it is. Ed has a panel in the back corner there. Can you guys see that? There's a panel there. That's a panel. I believe he has 2 pipes. 1 pipe here. He's got a bottle there and a bottle behind it. And then back there behind that panel, he's got another pipe and the dual same setup. And this is the reason why I'm saying that. That is no longer there at Coral Castle. That's just a hollow space in between the 2 stones. Pretty deep too. It's the depth of the stones, which has got to be every bit of 2.5 feet. 2.5 feet every bit of. And probably about 8 inches wide. He's got another pipe in there. And the pipe's no longer there in either this thing, but I think it's been cut out and filled. Because if you have 2 pipes, you're taking the positive and negative energy is in the pipe. You're just going to retrieve it out of the ground into the pipe. The pipe is going to be like having a car battery where one of the poles out of the car battery is the pipe. The ground itself is full of massive amount of electrons, and it's massive amount of atoms in there. And you can control which energy you want, but you have to oscillate it. Now hear me out. Ed figured out that you can oscillate the 2 pipes by making one the opposite charge from the other, so one is always chasing the other. So you're having this oscillation between the 2 pipes, almost Frankenstein-y stuff going on here. I don't want to give out too much because this is step by step here, but what's fascinating is we created a great strength here. I'm only putting 14 volts in. These magnets are strong. So now we're going to get this pipe here. I'm going to put another pipe in, okay? And we're going to put a coil and a core down the pipe. And why are we going to put a coil and a core down each pipe? What is that going to do for us? Well, according to Ed, right here he says, now the bar is a permanent magnet. The end at the coil side is south and the other end is north. He gets into a part here where he talks about putting a coil into a iron pipe to where the end of the pipe becomes two poles. Very important here in this magnetic current that you pay attention to what he says there, because he's talking about so what we're dealing with here is utilizing the magnetic field in the iron. It's all about the iron because the iron has a lot of magnetics, a lot of electrons built up into the iron because it's part of the magnetic side of the electric, okay? So just on this little part here, and then we're going to get into the why the pipe is important. But right here it says the U-shaped magnet was losing its strength up to the time it began to break away from the iron core. But during the time the U-shaped magnet broke away, it regained its strength. The breaking away from the iron core recharged the U-shaped magnet. Then it became normal again and ready for the next start. During the recharging, the new supply of magnets came from the air, or the Earth's magnetic field. Now you can see how magnetic currents are made by the U-shaped magnet. Now, when he gets into, I believe I passed it. This book's a little different, but yeah, I think this is it right here. He talks about making it stronger where you have no loss. So what happens is the core of this this coil and a core, right? The core would be north and the outside casing, the same side, would be south. So you have a north and south opposing each other, right next to each other. So they become the oscillator that starts to resonate with the Schumann resonance of the ground. So there's a lot of mechanisms here that I still need to figure out on following the Schumann resonance. So basically the ground has a wave, okay? And then that Schumann resonance wave is based on lightning strikes around the whole world, timed out, bam, you have this Schumann resonance. And it's a sine wave, basically. Now that energy is moving through all matter. Matter's still, but the electrons are moving through. You can catch electrons by using two pipes, like I said, and at one part of that wave at a certain angle, that pipe and that other pipe is going to be a different angle from each other, and you're going to have a continuation of a wave. So you're creating a wave. The greatest thing here Ed talks about is that pipe. Not so much this. He says it's great for lifting purposes, but basically it loses no energy at all. So the two will be using the ground energy, and that's where you tap off of that energy here, and you can start to get the PMH over here. Now, watch this. When you get the PMH, look. So you get the PMH, counter-reacting with the wheel is doing, you're using the earth energy to make it go on its own. You're using all the electrons flowing through the ground as a wave. This is using its own. Check it out. Leave your comments. Leedskalnin rocks on. Peace.